Have you ever felt like the world is too broken to fix? That your love, your kindness, your small acts of compassion are too little to matter? If you have, you're not alone. We live in a time where attention is loud, but care is quiet, where people are constantly chasing what they can get and forget the quiet power of what they can give. But let me tell you this: real change doesn't always come through power or wealth. It comes through love. It comes through compassion. Today, I want to invite you into a story that touches the soul. A true story about a poor little girl, a tired and hungry heart, and one man's small act of kindness that ended up creating a miracle beyond imagination. This is not just a story about generosity. It's about the spiritual law of compassion, the kind the Buddha spoke of, the kind that doesn't ask, "What's in it for me?" but instead asks, "How can I help you suffer less?" In Buddhism, this is the essence of Kru letter 147 a macron. Boundless compassion. It's not pity. It's not charity. It is the brave, quiet choice to act with love even when no one is watching, to see pain and not turn away. So if you've ever wondered whether your small, silent kindness makes a difference, this story is your answer. Because compassion isn't just a feeling, it's a force, one that heals, transforms, and sometimes even saves lives. Let this story remind you: love never goes unnoticed, and compassion, when given freely, creates miracles. She was just a little girl, hungry, tired, and afraid. Her clothes were worn thin by time and weather. Her eyes carried the weight of far too many difficult days. She walked through the streets of her small town with a single purpose: to find help. Her mother had fallen seriously ill. There was no food left at home, no money for medicine, and not a soul she could turn to. But what she had was hope, and a few coins clutched tightly in her hand. She stopped at a local pharmacy, stepped inside hesitantly, and approached the counter. With her head barely reaching the counter's edge, she asked the pharmacist, "Sir, do you sell miracle medicine?" The pharmacist, startled, replied, "Miracle medicine? What do you mean? My mom's very sick, and I heard that only a miracle can help her now." The girl whispered, her voice trembling. She then placed a few coins on the counter. "This is all I have. Can you sell me a miracle with this?" The pharmacist looked at her sympathetically but shook his head. "I'm sorry, little one. That's not how medicine works." But standing nearby was a man, quiet, observant, and kind. He had been watching the exchange with growing attention. This man was a doctor, visiting town for a short time. He knelt down beside the girl and gently asked, "Can you tell me more about your mother?" The girl nodded, eyes full of trust, and explained everything she could. The doctor listened with compassion. And when she was finished, he smiled. "Well," he said, "it sounds like your mother doesn't need a miracle. She just needs care. And I believe we can help her." Without another word, he arranged everything: medicine, a visit, treatment, all without charge. He never gave her his name. He never asked for anything in return. He simply placed a hand on her shoulder and said, "Take this medicine home. Tell your mother she's loved." Years passed. The little girl grew up, inspired by the kindness that had once saved her mother's life. She studied hard, fueled by the memory of the men who had seen her when the world looked away. And eventually, she became a doctor herself. One day, in a hospital far from the town where she was born, a critically ill patient was brought in. He was older now, frail, and barely conscious. He had no family, no visitors, and no way to pay for the surgery he needed. But to the young doctor, there was something familiar about him, something gentle in his face, something unforgettable. When she saw his name on the file, her heart skipped a beat. It was him, the same man who had once given her hope, who had stepped forward when no one else did, the man who, without hesitation, gave her mother a second chance. Now it was her turn. She performed the surgery herself, and when it was done, she went to the billing department and made a special note on his chart. When the old man woke up, worried about the cost, the nurse handed him the bill. At the bottom, in neat handwriting, it read, "Paid in full, with a glass of milk and a heart full of kindness." Tears welled in his eyes. He didn't remember her face, not right away, but in that moment, he remembered the moment he had chosen love. A simple, silent act of compassion that had come full circle. He had saved a life, and that life, years later, had come back to save his. This story is not fiction. Versions of it have echoed across cultures, reminding us that love, real, pure, unconditional love, always finds its way back. From a Buddhist perspective, this is the law of karma, the sacred truth that every action creates a ripple. And when an action is rooted in compassion, that ripple becomes a wave of healing. No act of kindness is ever wasted. Even if the world forgets, the universe remembers. And sometimes, when the time is right, that kindness returns as a miracle. Let this story remind you, even if you only have a glass of milk and a heart full of love, it is enough. It may be the miracle someone's been waiting for. This story touches something deep in us, doesn't it? It reminds us of something we often forget in the rush of everyday life, that behind every act of kindness, no matter how small, lies the potential for a miracle. But let's take a moment to truly unpack this story. Let's look deeper, beneath the surface of a good deed, and explore why it's so powerful. not just emotionally, but spiritually. 1. Compassion is not weakness. It's transformative strength. The doctor didn't just give a child some medicine. He offered hope. He saw her. He didn't judge her for having too little. He didn't make her feel ashamed. He simply chose to respond with compassion. In Buddhism, this is Karu letter 147 a macron. The sacred compassion that arises not from pity, but from the deep wish to relieve the suffering of others. It's not just emotional. It's spiritual. It's a force of awakening. The Buddha taught that when we act from compassion, we purify not only the suffering around us, but also the defilements within ourselves. Each act of compassion cuts through the ego, dissolves selfishness, and connects us back to the oneness of all beings. So when the doctor helped that girl, he wasn't helping downwards. He was rising spiritually because he chose love over indifference. 2. Karma isn't always about punishment. It's also about return. Many people associate karma with retribution. You get what you deserve. But in Buddhist teachings, karma is not a punishment system. It's a law of cause and effect. And in this story, we see the beauty of that law in action. One act of selfless kindness planted a seed. That seed grew, invisibly, quietly, over years. And when the doctor himself was vulnerable, that same kindness came back with interest. He didn't ask for it. He didn't expect it. But the universe remembered. And when he needed compassion the most, it arrived. This is karma at its highest level. The circle of compassion completing itself. 3. Kindness doesn't need a stage. It only needs sincerity. The doctor never told anyone what he did. He didn't post it. He didn't ask for applause. He simply acted. That's what makes the act so powerful. It wasn't transactional. It was true. And it tells us something vital. You don't have to be rich to give. You don't have to be perfect to serve. You just need to be present. From a Buddhist view, the most precious offering is not gold or status. It's the offering of presence, of loving attention, of an open heart. Even a glass of milk, when given with love, becomes more valuable than all the jewels in the world. 4. We never know how far our actions travel. That doctor had no idea his kindness would come back to him through that very same girl. And honestly, that's not why he helped. But life has a way of recording everything. Not with cameras, but with consequences. Every word you say, every energy you put out, every choice you make is writing the next chapter of someone's life, maybe even your own. We don't get to see the full map of our actions, but we can walk the path with trust. Because even when no one sees, the Dharma sees. 5. The miracle wasn't just the surgery. It was the transformation, yes. The story ends beautifully with the doctor being saved. But the real miracle happened years earlier, when a scared little girl learned that the world still had kindness. That moment changed her, inspired her, gave her something to believe in. That's the miracle. When compassion doesn't just solve a problem, it awakens the light inside someone else. The medicine healed her mother, but the love healed her heart, and that love kept rippling forward, all the way to the operating room, where she saved the one who once saved her. 6. What this story teaches us today in a world that's noisy, divided, and often numb. This story is a gentle reminder. You don't have to fix the whole world, but you can give someone a moment of peace, a drop of faith, a reason to keep going. And that might be enough. Enough to light a new path. Enough to restore someone's belief in humanity. Enough to bring a miracle full circle. And here's the most beautiful part. You'll never know when the moment you choose kindness becomes the turning point of someone's life. So ask yourself, who can I uplift today? Where can I show compassion? Even if no one's watching, what small act can I do that might grow into something sacred? Because when you live like this, not for reward, but from the heart, your life becomes part of a higher rhythm. You become the miracle someone's been waiting for. When I first heard this story about the doctor and the poor little girl, I didn't just hear it with my ears. I felt it in my chest. And the more I reflected on it, the more I realized that this wasn't just a heartwarming tale. It was a mirror, reflecting something we so easily forget in this fast-paced world. The smallest act of compassion can become the seed of unimaginable transformation. As a content creator, as a person walking this path of life and learning, I began to ask myself, what am I truly giving to this world? What impact do my words, my choices, my energy leave behind? And what this story reminded me is this. We don't need to do something grand to change a life. We just need to be sincere, present, willing to care. Let me share with you some of the most powerful lessons I've drawn from this story and how you can apply them in your own journey. 1. Never underestimate small kindness. We live in a culture that glorifies big impact, massive results, going viral. But the truth is, real impact often begins in silence, in the quiet moments when no one's watching. That doctor didn't make a speech. He didn't post a video. He didn't even introduce himself. He just did what love would do, quietly, purely. Sometimes, your kind word, your gentle smile, your small gesture of presence might be the exact thing keeping someone from giving up. And the beauty is, you don't need to be perfect to give love. You just need to be willing. 2. The seeds we plant today become someone's strength tomorrow. I often think, what if the doctor hadn't helped her that day? Would she have still become a doctor? Would she still have believed in goodness? We don't always get to see the full circle. We may never witness the harvest, But that doesn't mean the seeds we plant don't grow. In Buddhist teachings, this is the law of karma, cause and effect. Every thought, word, and action is like a seed dropped into the soil of time. If we plant with love, compassion, and mindfulness, those seeds will bloom, even if not in our lifetime. So I've learned to stop measuring impact by what I get back. Instead, I ask, did I act with kindness? Did I create a ripple that could someday become a wave? If yes, that's enough. 3. Live in a way that you could be someone's miracle. When I create content, I sometimes wonder, will this reach the right person? Will this make a difference? And I come back to this story. The doctor didn't know that the girl would grow up to save his life. He wasn't investing in her. He was simply being who he was. And that inspires me. And maybe it can inspire you too. To live in such a way that you become someone's miracle. You may never know it, but you might be the moment that someone looks back on years later and says, that was the day my life began to change. 4. Be kind when it's hard. That's when it counts most. Let's be honest. It's easy to be kind when we're happy, secure, and well rested. But what about when we're tired, overwhelmed, feeling unseen ourselves? The real test of compassion isn't how we treat others on a good day. It's how we act when it costs us something: energy, time, convenience. The doctor in the story didn't need to help. He could have walked away. But he chose love over comfort. And in my own life, I'm learning slowly that true kindness often comes with some discomfort, but the joy it brings lasts so much longer than the moment. 5. Give without attachment. Let go of the outcome. One of the most beautiful things about this story is that the doctor never expected anything in return. He helped, then let go. And years later, when the help came back to him, it came not because he chased it, but because he had released it. This reflects the Buddhist teaching of non-attachment, dana, or selfless giving. The most powerful compassion is the kind that gives freely, not to feel good, not to receive praise, but simply because it's who you are. As a creator, I try to live this truth. I share not because I need validation, but because I know there's someone, somewhere, who might need the message. And when you give like that, the universe takes care of the rest. 6. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind? That doctor will forever be remembered, not for his wealth, not for his fame, but for one simple act of compassion. What about us? What if we measured our success not by how much we've accumulated, but by how many hearts we've touched? What if our legacy wasn't built on numbers, but on moments of humanity? That's the life I want to live. Final reflection. You are more powerful than you know. You don't need 1 million followers to change a life. You don't need to be rich, famous, or qualified. You just need to be present and open to love. This story changed how I see the world. It taught me that every act of compassion echoes far beyond what we can see. So now, every day, I ask myself, can I be the doctor today? Can I be the one who chooses love? Quietly, simply, completely, and more often than not. I try to say yes, because somewhere out there, someone's miracle is waiting. And maybe it's you. In today's world, we've grown used to miracles wrapped in technology, science, or jaw-dropping achievements. We marvel at massive success, viral moments, and the grand, the loud, the shiny. But every so often, in a quiet corner of life, a different kind of miracle unfolds. One that begins not with greatness, but with gentleness. A soft look filled with empathy. A kind gesture given freely. A heart that chooses to care when it could so easily walk away. That is the miracle of compassion. It doesn't flash. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need recognition or applause. It only needs one person who dares to respond with love. And in that moment, the world, even just for a breath, becomes warmer, kinder, and more worth living in. The story of the doctor and the poor little girl isn't a fairy tale. It happened. A simple act of generosity changed a life, sparked hope, and eventually came full circle, returning as a miracle to the very person who first gave it. What's most beautiful, the doctor had no idea. He gave from the heart, then let go. And life, in its quiet wisdom, remembered. This story reminds us that you don't need magic to create a miracle. You don't need fame, or fortune, or a plan. You just need love. And maybe, just maybe, you, too, are holding the power to be someone's miracle today. Not by saving the world, but by offering a single act of compassion that might change someone's direction, restore their hope, or awaken their light. You never know the full impact of your love, so give it anyway. So, what are we left with? A girl, a doctor, a glass of milk, and a simple act of compassion that returned years later as a life-saving miracle. But deeper than that, we're left with a truth that's easy to forget, yet impossible to ignore once we've seen it. Love always leaves a mark. Compassion always comes full circle. The Buddha taught that if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. And this story is proof. One moment of kindness created light for both the giver and the receiver. And in the end, neither was ever the same. Now I ask you, what kind of light will you offer the world? Because somewhere out there, someone is tired. Someone is hungry for hope. Someone's walking into a pharmacy with nothing but a handful of coins and a dream that someone might care. And maybe, just maybe, that someone is waiting for you. So here's what I invite you to do. If this story moved you, leave a comment below. I choose compassion. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that their love matters. And if you want to walk this path of kindness and wisdom with me, backhand index pointing right, subscribe to this channel. Because together, we're building a world where love still wins. You don't have to change the whole world. Just light one lamp. Just give one glass of milk. Just choose love once more. And you, too, will become someone's miracle.